Good Monday afternoon. It is January 30th. And first off, as always, hit that thumbs up, like button on this post. Also, comment where you're from, what you're seeing out there. Also, send pictures if you'd like. We have a Facebook. You can come to our Facebook page as well. Just search Sober Bob on Facebook. Come to our Facebook page, and you can post uh, on some of our comments, and you can throw some pictures in there as well. Also, please subscribe to this page and then push all for notifications to get notified every time we post content on YouTube as well. Plus, it helps with algorithms as well. So here we are. I've been saying this for days. Models were going to bust on cold, and yet here we are. Same scenario almost as last year. Cold air coming in faster and stronger than what models depicted, and models are busting 5 to 10 degrees on cold, and they've been doing that since 2 days ago, basically. So, and then last night, since tonight, I showed you. If you watched my video last night, I showed you models busting on cold 5 to 10 degrees versus current temperatures, and I'll probably show you that here again. And even short range models are not doing a very good job either with temperatures on their model versus current temperatures. So here we are, major ice storm coming. I've been warning you guys for a couple days. Get prepared. I know a lot of people were downplaying this, especially over towards the Memphis area. Like I've said, cold air will come in stronger and faster. Plus, models are horrible at shallow Arctic air, okay? And I'll give credit where credit's due. Canadian was almost all over this from the get-go. Middle range was the Euro, but the Euro was actually too warm at one point, but it finally coming to agreement with more of the Canadian solution. Canadian had a better handle on the low level Arctic air that's screaming into the region. I think it was just a little overdone, too bullish on precipitation amounts. On the other hand, here we are. Purple shades, basically from just east of Memphis. Take the I-40 corridor all the way through Memphis to Little Rock, down I-30, basically to Hot Springs. You go west, toward west and southwest towards Dallas, Abilene, Texas, Waco, getting to the northwest suburbs of Austin, basically. A quarter to 3/4 of an inch of ice or more in these areas, and this is through Thursday. Okay, there's going to be multiple rounds of precipitation, basically a big, huge wintry mess that's going to come into the region here. South of this front, especially across far southern parts, southeastern parts of Texas, through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Atlanta, or through Georgia as well. 2 to 4 inches, maybe higher amounts than that, of rain is coming. Okay. All right. I highlighted the counties a little bit stronger so you can see where your counties are at. So you're going to have to basically help me help you. You need to know where your county's at, know where your state's at. So if you have to have a little geography lesson with yourself, you need to do that, because everything's basically right here for you, all the information. You can see the counties, you can see the states. I just can't throw every city on this map because it will just cluster it up and it'll just be a mess. Okay, so you get into the darker pink around this purple area, basically from like a Fort Smith to just north of Jonesboro, just southeast of Poplar Bluff, up into Kentucky, just west of Nashville, down to far northwestern parts of Alabama, through northern parts of Mississippi, down through Texarkana, down to Tyler, Texas, Austin, Texas. I think a tenth to a quarter inch of ice is possible. Once you get to a quarter inch of ice, that's when you start having issues with power, some tree limbs coming down. So after usually the quarter inch is the threshold for and more is the threshold for significant icing. Okay. Now get to the pink areas. The far southern parts of this pink area, basically from southern parts of Texas through northern Louisiana, through basically central Mississippi, northern parts of Alabama, through central and western parts of Tennessee. I think a glaze to a tenth of an inch of ice is possible, maybe some locally higher amounts, but there is still uncertainties on this area on how far south the sub-freezing air gets to. If you don't get ice in these areas, be thankful. Just be thankful, okay? If I want to bust on any forecast, it's ice, because I don't want you guys to get any of this stuff. But it's looking really grim, especially in the dark purple areas, basically from Texas through southeastern Oklahoma, through central Arkansas, east central Arkansas, over towards Memphis, and basically the east or the western third of Tennessee, basically just really targeting significant icing through this area. Also, there could be thunder sleet, thunder freezing rain as well. There has been reports of that over in Oklahoma and parts of northwestern Arkansas already today with thunder sleet, and they got a quick half inch to an inch of sleet. The roads were completely garbage right after that. And then up here in the lighter blue areas, far northern Arkansas, northern parts of Oklahoma, southern Missouri, southern Illinois, through Kentucky here, I think you might get some icing, especially in the southern parts of this area, getting close to the pink areas. I think you'll get a little bit more icing in that area, but sleet or snow, mostly sleet, up to an inch or more accumulation in parts of the area, especially if you get some of these basically thunder sleet showers that move through. It'll dump a quick half inch of sleet to the area, and the roads will be absolute disaster when that happens. They're already ice covered. It doesn't take but 1 or 2 hundredths of an inch to really start making having problems on roads, sidewalks, elevated surfaces, driveways, untreated roads. All that will just takes a slight little glaze, and we haven't really gotten to the major stuff yet. We're going to have another round this afternoon through tonight and tomorrow, and that's where basically central Arkansas through Tennessee is going to get hit tonight into tomorrow. Same here in Texas as well. Now, there'll be a slight break tomorrow, and then another round's going to come in late to probably midday tomorrow through Wednesday morning. There'll be another round, and then there might be another round after that with a slight break on Wednesday midday, then going into Thursday morning. All right, I've spent almost 10 minutes just on this map, but it gave you a lot of time to show you where you're at. You can see where your county is at, what you might get. Hopefully you guys have been heeding my warnings for days now that models were going to bust on cold, and this stuff was going to come further south than what your weather apps say, which I've told you guys I don't know how many times. Those apps are garbage. They're good for two things. You can look at radar. You can look at actually three things. You can look at updated videos from your local forecaster, and three, they're very good at updating you on severe weather alerts and winter weather alerts. As far as the local forecasts on your app, that's all computer generated. It's not updated by a man or a woman, any human. It's updated by computer. Okay, and then usually it goes off one model, and it's usually the GFS, which always has a warm bias. Okay, so that being said, here we are. Okay, hopefully, like I said, hopefully you've been heeding my warning. You guys have been preparing all weekend because I told you this is going to happen. This is going to come further south, and here we are with another significant ice storm coming. All right, here is the latest probabilities. The Weather Prediction Center. This is 72 hours, basically from now through Thursday morning. Of the probability of freezing rain greater or equal to 1/10 of an inch. And this is 80 to 90% chance all the way back through Texas, basically Abilene towards just right around Austin to Dallas, Dallas, Fort Worth, get up towards southeastern parts of Oklahoma, get towards Ouachita's up here in western Arkansas, Hot Springs, Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Searcy, Jonesboro, Memphis, Jackson. Then we get towards Tipton, Tennessee, far northwestern parts of Mississippi as well. I'm trying to zoom in here. Just north of Clarksdale, Tunica, DeSoto, just a few towns there. This is just a 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain accumulation, greater or equal to 1/10 of an inch in the next 72 hours total amounts. Okay, 80 to 90 to 95% chance of that happening in these red areas. If you get to the blue, the light blues at 70%, then it starts tapering down. Now you can see across northern Louisiana why I had concerns. You get to the yellow to the greens, that's a 5 to 20% chance of at least 1/10 of an inch of ice coming in. So you guys still have a chance here in northern parts of Louisiana. You get up towards northwest Mississippi. As you get further northwest, your chances for 1/10 of an inch really go up. Okay, and you have ice storm warnings across northwestern parts of Mississippi, through western Tennessee, through central Arkansas, and then winter storm warnings basically down here in Texas. Now let's see what it says when it says greater than 1/4 of an inch. Greater than 1/4 inch. You have an 80% chance down here in parts of Texas, just west of Fort Worth. Light blues, 70% chance of at least 1/4 inch, which is significant icing. You get a greater than 1/4 inch. That's a significant ice storm, okay? And you're going to start having issues. You get up here towards Arkansas, the light blues, 70%, basically from Memphis west to Little Rock, and just south of there to right around Pine Bluff, okay? Any of these blues, especially the lighter, as you get darker, the dark blue is 40%. Once you get lighter, goes up to 70% chance, okay? And you can see there's even a chance at 1/4 inch. I mean, it's a slight chance. It's 1 to 5%, nudging its way down to the Louisiana-Arkansas border here as well. Now, Nashville, you're not out of the thick of things either. You have it says 10 to 20% chance of at least greater or equal to 1/4 inch of ice. So you are not out of the woods there either. Now, let's go to greater than 1/2 inch of ice. And still a big chance out here towards western Texas. 60 to 70% chance of at least getting 1/2 inch of ice or greater across parts of Texas. You get up here towards Arkansas, Little Rock to Memphis, basically the corridor right there. Basically a 30 to 40% chance of at least 1/2 inch of ice or greater across these areas, and that would be just horrible news on the power grid. You're going to start getting power outages, etc. Okay, so there is the threats going forward here for the next 72 hours for freezing rain accumulation. All right, I want to show you this too. I told you there's going to be changes on this, and there was. This is Winter Storm Severity Index from NOAA. Potential winter storm impacts. You get the oranges. That's moderate impacts. Expect disruptions to daily life, hazardous driving conditions, and closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur. Now, you can see down here in far southern parts of Texas, there is some red blotches down here as well. Major impacts could be expected in the red. Expect considerable disruptions to daily life, dangerous and impossible driving conditions. Widespread closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur. Okay, so the orange goes all the way through Texas, through central Arkansas, through Memphis, into north or western parts of Tennessee. And the yellow, minor impacts, mostly going to be dangerous winter. All right, let's look at the latest advisories and warnings map here. The pink here is winter weather or winter storm warnings all the way through southern Texas, central Texas, to northern Texas, basically southeastern parts of Oklahoma, northern Arkansas here under winter storm warning. Advisory level just north of there, just south of St. Louis. St. Louis itself, I think you're still going to get some, maybe snow, maybe some sleet, but the advisory level stuff is going to be south of you as we go forward, okay? So winter storm warning, southern Missouri, northern parts of Arkansas, because of sleet, heavy sleet, maybe some freezing rain, maybe some snow thrown in there as well. Advisory level down through here, through central or north central Arkansas, that's your western Arkansas, and then you get through central Arkansas, all the way to Memphis and northwestern parts of Mississippi, eastern Tennessee, all under an ice storm warning through, I believe, Wednesday for this area. Just south of there as well, you got winter weather advisories all the way down to the Arkansas-Louisiana border now as well. Now I'm going to go into the Storm Prediction Center website. We have mesoscale discussions out for freezing rain and winter weather. So let's take a look at those real quick. This is concerning freezing rain across far southeastern parts of Oklahoma into northeastern parts of Texas here, where temperatures are already in the 20s to around 30 degrees. So it says developing cluster of thunderstorms may accompany by increasing freezing rain rates in excess of a quarter inch per hour through 5 to 6 p.m. If you get under basically a thunderstorm and you get a heavy band of freezing rain on top of you, that is going to accumulate very, very quickly. And it's in this area where I have up to basically a quarter to 3/4 of an inch of ice or more across parts of this area. Now, here's the other mesoscale discussion. This is for northeastern parts of Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri. Okay, this has to do with basically sleet. Accumulating sleet at rates of a quarter to a half inch per hour may become more widespread through 3 to 5 p.m. This is Central Standard Time. Okay, so like I said, roads are going to be absolutely garbage when some of this stuff comes through. And we're going to look at some weather cams here in just a minute after I show you the models. All right, so here's HRRR. We're going to go through future radar here. This is 18Z. I'm using this because it goes through 48 hours. So this was at 1 o'clock. You see the freezing rain and sleet, possibly some snow on the northern fringes of this ongoing. Just 2, 3 o'clock. As we get to 4 or 5 o'clock, this is really going to start getting going across north central Arkansas, through eastern Arkansas, southwest or southeastern parts of Missouri as well. And then it's getting over into the Memphis area around 10, 11 o'clock tonight. I'm going to go to the southeast view here in just a second. I want to show you what's going on in Texas. This is the second round that's coming through tonight into tomorrow morning. So freezing rain, basically northwestern parts of Mississippi as well. western parts of Kentucky into Tennessee. And then here comes the third wave into Texas and it really starts breaking out and then spreading back into Arkansas and Oklahoma as we get into late tomorrow morning. This will be Tuesday at 11 o'clock. This is noon tomorrow. And this thing really gets going. And then, as you can see, this the freezing rain line is getting further and further south. But this model is it's overdone on temperatures. It's not representative of current trends. So I would expect this freezing rain to be a little bit further south than what it's shown here. Okay. So this is Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night. Freezing rain still ongoing. Here comes another round Wednesday morning into Texas. This could be a more significant round coming in across parts of Texas as we go into Wednesday, and then all this is going to translate north and east, basically northeast, as we go into Wednesday night. Okay. And I don't know if you noticed this. See back here in Mexico, they got snow all the way back in Mexico here, as well. Snow across southeastern parts of New Mexico. Freezing rain basically through most of central Texas as well. Okay. Here's snow totals for basically the next 48 hours. You can see that very northern fringe of this has some snow, and then snow back here as the system winds up, basically late Wednesday. Then snow all the way back into Mexico as well. Here's sleet totals: half an inch to an inch across most of northern Arkansas into Oklahoma, maybe parts of Texas, central Arkansas. Like I said, they're going to have some heavy freezing rain, but you're going to have some sleet thrown in as well. Here's the freezing rain totals: quarter, half inch, maybe higher, 3/4 of an inch. Basically down here through right around Memphis. The HRRR has you 6/10 of an inch of ice all the way through western parts of Tennessee, quarter to half inch across eastern Arkansas. Like I said, this model temperatures are already busting on this model. So I would say this freezing rain is going to come a little bit more further south as we go forward. Okay. And my forecast represents that. All right. I'm going to go over timing just out east. Here's southeastern view. So this is, let me get some time stamps so you can see here you are, 3 o'clock today. Then as you get through this evening, this really starts ramping up. This is, like I said, there's going to be multiple waves of this, so it might be coming down really good. It may stop for 6, 9, 10 hours, and then another wave is going to be coming. So here we are through parts of Kentucky. Very heavy freezing rain around Memphis. This is saying around 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock tonight. And then northwestern parts of Mississippi as well. Snow possibly up here as you get into deeper Arctic air up here across basically Ohio River Valley, northern parts of Kentucky, southern Ohio into West Virginia. And this looks like the freezing rain's trying to get into Nashville. But like I said, this model has been overdoing temperatures, or too warm, okay, for what the current trends are. So I expect this to start coming more and more south and change over probably quicker than what it's showing. Now, here comes the next wave down through here, Tuesday night. Let me change views here. So here comes Tuesday afternoon. Another big round coming through centrals, possibly parts of southern Arkansas, and then swiping right into Memphis at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Freezing rain, maybe some sleet mixed in. And then this is getting to northwestern parts of Mississippi and possibly as far east as Nashville. And then this thing really keeps going here. Like I said, snows could break out here in West Virginia, maybe parts of Northern Virginia here as well, Pennsylvania. And then this gets out of here, and then here comes the next wave behind that as well. This is Wednesday, going all the way to Wednesday at noon. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due. The Canadian has been on top of this for days, and it's not wavered. And I think this is a pretty good forecast right now. I think some of these amounts are a little bit overdone, but you see the extent of the freezing rain that comes even down into northern parts of Louisiana, into western parts of Mississippi, into Tennessee, central Arkansas, basically. So here's some of the amounts that are on the Canadian. Here's the garbage GFS, which is way too warm. These amounts are, this is not accurate out here in Texas at all. So GFS is basically getting thrown out the window here. And here is the European model. It's decent, except it doesn't have that southern extent on it, which it needs on here. So think of all the models to really show good accumulation, or the area that's going to have ice is the Canadian. Okay, it's done really well in this low-level Arctic air, and how far south this icing event is going to happen. All right, here's iDrive Arkansas. Look at the roads already up here in northwestern parts of the state. Basically, totally just covered. Actually, let me get over the legend here. You see the purple here is ice. And you can see as you pull up here, Interstate 49 to the Madison County line, partially covered. It's completely ice. Look at the temperature, 21 degrees up in this area. The dark reds here, that's all ice patches, ice, and then the pink areas up here towards Harrison and stuff, that's all partially or slush as of right now. I expect all this nasty road conditions will start translating east as we go to this afternoon and tonight. Cool thing about iDrive Arkansas, look at all these cameras you have access to all over the state. Let's go check out northwest Arkansas here. See if I can pull this up bigger. You can see over this bridge on basically 412 here, Highway 412. I think this is Beaver Lake here in northwest Arkansas. But look at the roads. They're just absolutely garbage. Lots of sleet covered, icy. Go out towards Siloam Springs. Let me get this maxed out for you. Look at these roads up here by Siloam Springs. Is basically bordering into Oklahoma. Ice, just completely ice covered with sleet right on top of it. That is dangerous driving. And to be honest with you, some of these cars are going way too fast in this condition, because it's going to take you a lot longer to come to a complete stop than it usually does. Okay, so look at them. I mean, these roads are absolutely garbage, and this is what's coming to parts of Arkansas, into Tennessee, southern Missouri. Oklahoma has been the same way. Down into Texas, roads are getting pretty trashy down there as well. So this is what's coming. So if you are out east and your roads are pretty decent right now, get what you need to get and just get home, because it's going to deteriorate very rapidly as we go into the afternoon, and especially after the sun goes down. We'll start accumulating some of this ice on major thoroughfares as well. All right, let's go up into Missouri. A lot of these roads in southern parts of the state are totally either partially covered, totally covered in the purple here. Some roads are closed. So even out here towards eastern parts of the state, they're partially covered with sleet or snow or ice as well. So a lot of these roads are totally covered. I want to see if I can show you some cameras. All right, here's a camera out of Springfield, Missouri, and the roads are absolutely garbage up here. This is, I believe this is Highway 65, and 65 Business up here in Springfield. You can see the snow, the slush covered, snowy, some snow mixed in as well, covered roads with ice underneath. So this is what's coming in parts of the area. That if you haven't experienced this yet, and you're under those advisories and warnings, these cars are actually doing pretty well, taking it slow, giving each other some room out here. As you could tell, back in Arkansas, people were still going way too fast. So these people got the right idea with this type of driving conditions across the area. So these are great tools to use. If you're in Arkansas, there's iDriveArkansas.com. There's apps for it. MoDOT has all these camera views. Plus, you can see what's going on through some of these major thoroughfares, if they're snow packed or icy, so on. And a lot of other states have this tool for you, access for you to use, so you can see what's going on. All right, that about wraps it up. I'm going to go over this. Actually, I'm going to go over one more thing with you. I forgot. All right, I want to show you this. It's the Ice Damage Index. I want to show you basically these numbers here. So once we get into like the 2s and 3s here, you're talking about utility disruptions, sometimes outages lasting 1 to 5 days. So once you get into the almost up to an inch with hardly any wind, you're up here into the ice damage 3, 1/4 inch to 1 inch of ice, less than 15 mile an hour winds, numerous utility disruptions with some damage to main feeder lines and equipment expected. Tree limb damage is excessive. Outages lasting 1 to 5 days. Now, one thing I want to bring up, we just had this very heavy wet snow with people having major power outages for days on end. That just ended this last week. Some people are just now getting their power back on from last week. Some of the limbs across northern parts of Arkansas into southern Missouri will be somewhat a lot weaker. So there might be less amount of ice that comes down, but the tree limbs might already be weak and they may fall already. So it might not take much to have some power issues across northern parts of Arkansas, especially with all this heavy wet snow that came through and weakened some of those limbs already. Okay, but like I said, if we have some winds, especially over 15 miles an hour, you get to that 3/4 to 1 inch range, you could have prolonged and widespread utility interruptions with extensive damage to main distribution lines, some high voltage transmission lines. Outages could last up to 5 to 10 days, and that could be possible, especially if you get over 3/4 of an inch of ice. I would plan on if you get that much to have some utility disruptions and possibly some prolonged utility disruptions, especially over that purple area, which I'm going to show you again here in just a second. Now, if you're about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, you have less than 15 mile an hour winds, scattered utility interruptions expected, typically lasting maybe a day or two. Roads and travel conditions may be extremely hazardous due to all those ice accumulations. Of course, like I said, I think most of the area is going to be anywhere between a 2 to a 4, depending on your accumulation of ice. And if you get above 15 mile an hour winds, which could be possible at times, you could be into the thick of things here. So, like I said, if you get over a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch of ice, which is possible in some parts of these areas, you could have prolonged and widespread utility interruptions for your area, sometimes lasting 5 to 10 plus days. There has been cases that there's been 2 weeks. Like I said, this heavy wet snow that came through northern Arkansas, some people were out of power for 5 to 6 days just from that. Like I said, tree limbs are already weak in parts of that area. So it may not take much ice to bring down more limbs on top of power lines and just have more issues across that area. Okay? All right, let's go over this one more time. All right, ice accumulations through Thursday. There is some room for changes, especially across the southern, or this pink area is across the southern parts of the area, and possibly up here into eastern parts of Tennessee as well. The light pink, a glaze to up to 1/10 of an inch. If you don't get any, thank your lucky stars, okay? Like I said, if I want to bust on something, this is what I want to bust on. And because no one wants ice. No one wants ice at all. I mean, I'll take a foot of snow any day over this stuff. This is just horrible, horrible stuff. We don't want to deal with this. Okay, so get to the darker pinks. Basically from Austin, Texas, Tyler, Texas, Texarkana, up towards through northern parts of Mississippi, just west of Nashville, back around towards Fort Smith, Oklahoma City, 1/10 to a 1/4 inch of ice. Like I said, with some sleet possible thrown in there. Then, as you get to the light blue up here, I think sleet and snow is possible, maybe up to 1 inch or more. You saw some of those roads up there in northwestern Arkansas. I just showed you, and southern Missouri, with some of those weather cameras, how bad the roads are in that parts of the region, and that stuff is coming south and east as we go forward throughout the week. So be prepared for that, and there could be ice on top of the sleet and snow or under it, up to a 1/4 inch or maybe a little bit more in that area. Now, up here towards southern Illinois into Indiana, I think northern parts of Kentucky, I think it's going to be a sleet and snow, mostly a sleet and snow event. I doubt you have any icing up that way, but you could have a little bit up that way because you're going to be in the deeper cold air up in that part of the region. Okay. Now, once we get into the purple, basically from just east of Memphis through Memphis, Little Rock, Jonesboro, to Searcy, Conway, down to Hot Springs, Mena. You get over towards southeastern Oklahoma, get towards Wichita Falls, Texas, Dallas, Waco, Abilene. Significant icing is possible. 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch or more is possible in this area. Now, on some of these fringes, if you don't get a 1/4 of an inch, think like I said, if I want to bust on anything, this is the map to do it on. But this is painting a pretty grim picture, and there's models showing more than 0.75, basically a 3/4 of an inch of ice across parts of the area. Some places will approach 1 inch of ice, especially if you get some of these heavy thunder freezing rain that comes through as well. Precip rates are going to be very high, and you could get up to a 1/4 inch in an hour if you get under one of those thunder freezing rainstorms throughout the region. Okay, so very significant ice storm is coming. The road, like I said, we saw the roads already. They're already trashed up here in northwestern Arkansas, southern Missouri, Oklahoma, parts of Texas already. This stuff is slowly starting to come south and east with wave after wave after wave, up to 3 waves in the next 48 hours possible across the region. Thank you all for bearing with me. I mean, there was a lot of information to go over this morning, plus updating the maps, trying to keep you guys informed. So I appreciate you all staying patient with me to get you all new information. But if you all been listening to me for the last 4 days or so, I was telling you to get prepared regardless, because the models are going to bust on cold, and this stuff is going to come further south than what your apps were showing, or if the models were even showing at the point 3 to 4 days ago. Okay, hopefully you guys are already prepared. You don't have to worry about it. Just kind of hunker down, relax. The problem is is the people that didn't prepare, now they're going to start panicking because especially this morning, you woke up to ice storm warnings, especially across eastern Arkansas through Memphis, northwestern parts of Mississippi as well. So if you did prepare and then all of a sudden you woke up and then ding, there's your phone, ice storm warning, your panic kind of sets in a little bit there. So hopefully you prepared. Hopefully you guys can just hunker down, kind of relax, wait it out. We'll get through this. We got through the one last year, but prepare for power outages, especially in this purple area for sure. Okay, so thank you all. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, the like button, and subscribe to YouTube. It's free. Click that all. So anytime I post content, it will ding your phone telling you I posted a video. Okay? Thank you all very much. Stay safe out there. We have a long way to go before this is over because there's, like I said, there's going to be multiple rounds of precip coming through over the next 48 to 72 hours across the area.